Hello my friends, Mike here again, and today we are going to check out Eric Whitacre Contrast, which is a follow-up to the Eric Whitacre Choir by Spitfire Audio. Just listen to this sound. I mean, this library is perfect for that spooky, mysterious, dark vibe. Even though it has the light and dark shades you can use, both minor and major shades, I will use this heavily in my own dark ambient and atmospheric music. I actually composed a full track here for my dark ambient project using both the Eric Whitacre Choir, the original one, this one, and a lot of instances of the contrast, including the grid and synth option, which I will demonstrate shortly, but let's just listen to the composition first. So my creative vision for this track, which you can hear from the name Angels of Darkness, was to create this contrast between the angelic sound of the beautiful choir with the spooky, twisted side of darkness. And for that, the Eric Whitacre Contrast library is amazing. So let me show a few instances I used here. So first one is called the Synth engine, because you can switch between standard synth and grid mode. So this sound here uses a lot of cool aspects inside the library that changes the time over time, the pitch, the volume, filters, all these effects. You have 2 layers, and then you have this mix page here where you can add, flanger, tape saturation, noise effects, which are added here, and dial in it to taste, and this gate sequencer as well. So I'm using this preset. There's a lot to choose from here, and you can also dive into bright, categories of each. And the specific sound I used was this one. I mean, it has that, like a chaotic sense of darkness in it. I start the track with that, and as you can see, if you check my composition here, I have some low instruments, Hans Zimmer strings, cellos, and BBC Symphony Orchestra solo bass, but I didn't introduce them until later because I wanted to give the full attention to the choir sounds. I have choir here, 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 plus a viola tremolo just for some added tension in the high range. But this one is just for the first sections before the second section. And every other bar I also reduced the release of this. You can go ADS or envelope here to make it stop completely to give room to the next sound, which is in the original or the standard mode here. And in the standard mode, you can still differentiate between alto basses and so on here. And you can see tutti is the entire choir sections. And you can go to light aspects, dark aspects, you know, all these different categories for sounds. And in each category, you have these key switches here. So I'm using minor second down. So you can use major to get a more brighter sound, or a minor vibe to get this more, I mean, take a listen. This little dive down. I mean, I don't know if there's any other choir library that has this not only crescendo, diminuendo, and waves and so on in dynamics, but in intervals in music. Because that's super tricky to, it's almost impossible to do with a sample library just doing it. If you do it with a pitch bend, that sounds strange. This is recorded interval changes. So I switched from this first male chaotic thing to this next one, which is a... So I'm going from E minor here to C major with a flat fifth, and then it goes to C minor. So, I mean, I add a lot of room to breathe between the notes, because ambient music really needs that. The next preset I used was this, alto, so not tutti, this is only the alto voices. So you can dive in here. I actually love the Spitfire audio engine and interface, because it's so easy to access the categories and everything in here. This time I'm using all dark, and this one, dark prism. Let's listen to how that sounds in context. Oops. I mean, you hear that little swaying on the note. Take a listen again. It's just an ascending line here. Still very smooth. And next one time. You hear that? Whoa! It's so cool. It adds so much cool tension and mystery. Then I used the synth. These three are all contrast. Let's listen to this one that comes in later, right here. Only the ones for each bar here. Tenor all swells, and this one dark swells medium. Okay. So those are the main standard contrasts. Then I'm using what they call the grid mode, and the grid mode is actually was available, I think, in so Eric Whitacre choir. The original one had a specific grid. Let me just open it up. Here, Spitfire Audio. You know, Evo Grid is its own instance, whereas in this new contrast library, the grid is actually baked in here, like a mode. I would have loved to have that for the original, actually, because I like just switching things here instead of having to change the plugin in a sense. But anyway, here's the grid mode. And this grid, it may look complicated, but it's basically, you get various articulations or recordings per note. So you can see down here, F3 all the way to D sharp 5. They are on different selections here, and you get some from light prism, some from dark prism. This one you can just do randomize on, and I wish more sample library developers would include randomization options, because you want to quickly find a new sound, and especially this kind of a randomization where you can choose a specific character. So you can go for dark prisms, light prisms, dark textures, light textures, visible and walk. I haven't actually tried those as much, but for the dark and light aspects, I know immediately what I will get. So light prisms, lighter sound here, and let's see. Here I'm using that one. Sounds like this, just long harmony notes. Oops, like this. And when I change sound, now, you get a different one. So for each note, and if you play, let's me just play a chord here. You get much complexity and character variation. Just holding a chord there. And that adds so much to nuance and details to the choir. Then, for the final grid section here, I'm using Alto Evos. Let's see. Here I'm in a dark prism. So you can just click. If I click, I don't want to click now, because I don't think you can go back after you randomize. So I'm clicking the dark textures. That will randomize all these notes here. This one sounds like this. I mean, all this swaying adds so much. You have a lot of different characters for textures in the choir where they sway between notes, but you can also, especially in the grid, I would say, but in the main engine, you have more of this movement in intervals. So you can do scale mode, minor second here. Some have even tritone. This one has minor second, major second, light, up and down. In fact, let me just... I want to do it like this. I even use some auto panning, by the way, extra on top of it on that one. I will open up the contrast here because I wanted to show you different things without destroying my composition because it's already published. So you get the tutti, which is all sections. So you can see all sections here. Then you go to soprano, you get to alto, tenors, and basses. And then in each category, you can choose either filter out here, or you can do, let's say, all dark. Let's go to, for example, soprano, all light we can take. Then you get different presets here. I actually think I need to put this on because the mastering chain makes I get a lot of latency. So this is light prism 1 minor second, and then you have a major second, and listen, you get more of a uplifting vibe here. Perfect fourth. Wow, beautiful. You get a perfect fifth as well. I mean, those types of gliding things here within in intervals, it's actually a really cool feature that I would love to have this on strings in the future. If Spitfire Audio does a string library that has all this, the grid, not only the Evo grid, but this gliding intervals, but it still remains on. You get the tonality of whatever chord or harmony you press. So let's do F major. And so here you get the intervals, and here you get, no crescendo, decrescendos, and so on. Light crystals. I just hold the chord here. And it's like the different singers do different things, which creates a kind of beautiful chaos, if you could say such a thing. It's like lots of variation and randomization in what they are singing. Light shattering. And remember, I'm only in the soprano all light at the moment. Held mist is just a whole note. Let's try low D here, or low for the soprano. Oh, so cool, some breathing noises in there. Then you get to the next page. You have first page, second page, and third page in this specific preset. E marcato. Okay, so this sounds more of a normal choir thing. Right? Missed chimes. But still of a shorter note, like a marcato. And you get this kind of whispery sound in that. These converged notes are super cool. It's like the notes are starting very dissonant and then moving towards the same note. Reminds me of rival strings in afflatus strings. They also have this kind of starting dissonant and then moving towards one note. I remember Hans Zimmer did this in the Batman, the one from 2008 with the original Joker, Heath Ledger. He did this on cello where two notes are slowly going to the same pitch, so tonality. But in that case, they never reached the perfect unison. So if I stop it before they reach, you get that dissonant sound. And you have all these variations. Let's just move to another one. We can try the altos, for example. Let's go for dark fragments. And here you get different types. Scale mode, so just holding those C major chord. Oh! So did you notice they did different things for both chords here? So I'm playing the C major chord once. And then again. Right, the first time it sounded like it did different things. Okay, so I think it depends on which key I hit first when I hit that C major chord. Let's try another one here. So dark fragment, minor, second down. Let's do A minor harmony. I mean, these types of shorter things I find perfect for just what I showed you in my track. So this kind of... like, it stops. It's not a full choir sound. So let me just back up and show you what the original Eric Whitacre choir can do, which I used in this track as well. But here, it's more of... I used it in more of the traditional, beautiful, angelic sound of the choir. So this is Eric Whitacre choir, and I'm using this tutti all M's. Let me bring on the mastering chain so you can hear it. Beautiful harmonies. I'm starting in the low range, and then when I introduce all the other instruments, I go up in range like so. So here you don't hear all that dissonance because I'm using a dynamic swell M's. But as with the new contrast library, you can go in, either filter here, and you have the tutti, you have the, they have so many, soprano and so on. You can divide in sections. They have this all-in-one, which I'm a fan of using in most cases all-in-ones because I key switch a lot. But in this case, if I used the same, I could have used the all M's right here to save on memory, I guess. And you get the evolution engine as well here. Let me in fact bring that up so you can see the original choir as well. So in this case you cannot switch modes. I wish they update that in the future, somehow combining them. But you can go in here and start all evolutions, and you get also kind of... oops, not the mastering chain, sorry about that. Let's reduce the... And of course, with both these products, you have the amazing collection of microphone positions. So closed tree, which I used in this case. I mean, all these pages with microphones, and it does make a bit different. I was hesitant of this a few years ago, but I have started using, especially in the BBC Symphony Professional edition, a lot of more microphone positions to basically mix my track with microphone positions. So you can do that here as well. And if you want to load up those grids, you actually have to use the Evo grid, which is this one, like the new contrast, but it is a different instance. That's like a minor little drawback that I wish they updated in the future for the Eric Whitacre Choir original standard edition. But here you have also this randomization, simple, dynamic, And if I click again, look what happens here. Okay, so they have included that specific thing. Delete that in the new contrast as well. So if I go into the grid mode here, this one here. So if I click on light textures, you get a combination here. I click on light textures again, you get a different variation of all this. You can click on visible. So visible, okay, so they take some nodes from dark textures. I haven't actually used that, but that could be really so much variation in that. Walking, what's that? Let's see. I'm actually not sure what the difference is between walking and visible, but feeling lucky is anything of this. But something else that I noticed is in the synth engine, which is super cool. Let's just go through some of them here. So you have this. This is the new contrast library, the synth mode up here, and I haven't seen a nice randomization feature in this engine. Someone could perhaps correct me if I'm wrong, but you can still like load a lot of different presets here in the synth engine. You can see I can scroll this. It's a lot. So it's just subdued glow, and I'm just holding down one note. And let's use an octave so you can hear it better. You still hear the vocal aspect in this synth engine, Heaven's Choir. But it's, I would say this is like a hybrid sounding choir with the synth engine. I found it works especially good for just holding one note or an octave. Instead of doing, I mean, let's try a minor chord. Okay, I was wrong, that sounded amazing. You get all of these little rhythm things in this preset and little bell-like sound. But what I would have loved is instead of browsing through presets here, or you can also select, because they are 2 layers, so you can go into the sound sources here and find a lot again, and just let's say solo this one. So you just click there, so this is the only one you hear. Let's do flutters here. Kind of changing gating filtered effect. Let's try this one and change this one to let's say dark diverge close, all that. And then both at the same time. And you can of course go and change all these aspects: volume, pitch, filter, I mean high pass, low pass, ADs or envelopes, and you can even go to the next page and all these effects here and this gate. But I would have loved to have a randomization overall, like the grid mode that I showed you, like feeling lucky, and then go to and have a couple of variations, for example, rhythmic or textures or gliding or what they call it, you know, the interval gliding things in the synth mode as well. So that's just a little thing I would have loved to have included. Other than that, the synth mode is, I mean, do you want a hybrid sounding choir? This is your go-to. And some of these are more synth engine focused, so the hybrid can go from almost acoustic choir sounding to, I mean, insane synth cool sound. This was more pad-like. And of course, you can use your mod wheel to shape the dynamics and the expression fader, like so. I love these types of pad-like hybrid choirs. They are amazing for the genres, ambient music and dark, both light and dark, that I compose. You have a couple of like bright, complex, dark, and so on, distorted, evolving here, pulsing. So you can actually go into pulsing, then find that one, just... I mean, I'm just holding one note. So as you can see, if you want to experiment with experimental hybrid choirs, the Synth engine is your go-to here. But even if you just use the standard mode, this is so fun and great to add that, you know, movement in intervals and harmonies in your choir sounds, especially if you just hold down one chord, one harmony, or even one single note, like low D. And then if you add on top of that the dynamics, you can shape the choir sound to whatever you want it to be. But I would recommend, if you want, you know, a more standard sounding choir library, then the Eric Whitacre choir, especially this one, the vowels, the ms and ahs, and you know, the kind of choir you use for this angelic background, or for even darker lower notes if you use the basses. Then the original product, the Eric Whitacre choir, is amazing. Such beautiful dynamics in that library. But if you want to explore the more chaotic, characterful, you know, changing intervals and gliding and doing each voice does different things, then this new Eric Whitacre contrast is perfect for that. But using both in combination, as I did in this composition, they fit perfectly together, because I would imagine these are the same singers, like the actual vocalists in Eric Whitacre, his choir, because I assume he has conducted and done all the things, recordings with both these products, because it has his name, so I assume he was involved in the entire process. So they fit very well together, as I have demonstrated in my composition. So that's how I will be using them, and I'm using them in combination with, regardless of whatever string libraries and other stuff. I have a harp here, for example, from BBC Symphony Orchestra. I have some trombones, I have some solo bass, I have some cellos, some viola, tremolo. And then all instruments on top of that were from Eric Whitacre choir, the original product, and this new contrast library. And for me, since I focus on ambient music and dark ambient music, both the lighter side and the darker side, I find this perfect, because it includes both shades of light. So light, more uplifting, and dark, more chaotic, dissonant sounding choirs. So that is Eric Whitacre contrast, including the original products in some case in this track. I will leave a link in the description so you can check it out yourself if you want that contrast side of vocals and human vocals. This product combines the light and the darkness and all the textures and variations that could be perfect depending on the style of music you compose. So check it out in the description, and I will see you in the next video, my friends.